Sir, should we start?
Yes, madam. I am ready. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Arya and Dwarkesh, you can start, please.
A very good afternoon to everyone present in this August gathering. Happy Janmashtami. I, Arya, along with my co-host Dwarkesh, take immense pleasure and privilege in welcoming you all to the webinar of Accelerators or Incubation Opportunities for Students of Faculties as Early Stage Entrepreneurs, organized by the Students in Institutions Innovation Council.
Ministry of Education has established an innovation council to systematically foster the culture of innovation amongst all higher education institutes. Objectives of IIC include creating a vibrant local innovation ecosystem and to develop better cognitive ability for technology.
As an entrepreneur, you can always find a solution if you try hard enough, is a wise line said by Laurie Greener. Entrepreneurship is the ability and readiness to develop, organize, and run a business enterprise, along with any of its uncertainties, in order to make a profit. To lighten us more on this interesting domain, we are pleased to have with us Dr. Chirag Thaker as our expert speaker today. Dr. Thaker is the professor and head of the CE department at LD College of Engineering, Ahmedabad. Sir has done his BE and ME from DDIT Nadir and PhD from Suresh Gyan Vihar University, Jaipur. He has 20 plus years of teaching experiences. He worked as a mentor for NBA accreditation by DTU in VPP College, Rajkot for an year. Sir was the Associate Dean in GTU Zone 4 for 3 years. He is currently working as a professor and head of CE department at LD College of Engineering, Ahmedabad. He is also supervising 5 PhD scholars at Gujarat Technological University, Ahmedabad, in research areas of cloud computing, cloud security, green cloud computing, big data analytics, and conventional AI. Sir has published 50 international and national conference journal papers, delivered 58 expert talks, webinars, online sessions, and reviewed a book on fundamentals of information and communication technology for TMH publication. He has received Best Research Paper Award in category of Knowledge Management and Artificial Intelligence at NCIIRP 2006 and Advanced Data Computing at Envision 2007 at SVICS. Now, I would like to request you, sir, to kindly take over the virtual dais and address the audience.
Thank you. Thank you for the generous introduction. Thank you, one and all. It's been great to be associated with you all one more time. And let me share my screen so that I can start.
Sure, sir. So now you can share your screen. Please check.
Right. Hope my screen is visible and it's in presentation mode.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Screen is visible.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Selja, for giving me this opportunity to be part of your IIC activities. Today, I am going to deal and deliver a session on accelerators, incubation opportunities for students and faculties, early stage entrepreneurships at J.C. Bose University of Science and Technology, YMCA, Faridabad. I've already been introduced to the gathering This is my acknowledgement slide. The presentation acknowledges content, especially images are taken from Google, and the universal image URL is www.images.google.com. I here declare that the images are used purely for an academic purpose, and the presenter has no intention of copyright infringement. Let us start our sessions by some of the quotes. This is from one of the finest design and innovation geniuses the world has ever seen, Mr. Steve Jobs. He said, late Steve says, innovation is the ability to see the change as an opportunity. It's not a threat. And this is a second one, that every once in a while, a new technology, an old problem, and a big idea turn into an innovation. So here you can very easily understand that how new technology blended with old problem and a big idea actually gives you the innovation paradigm. This is going to be my flow of presentation. I'll touch upon some basics and comparison of incubator and accelerator. We'll also discuss the features of incubator and accelerator, and then we will switch over to incubation process and stages. And then I'll take the second leg of my presentation, that is entrepreneurship, stages of entrepreneurship, and then we will switch over to startups. We'll have some slides on how and why startups are there. What are the various stages of startups? What do we mean by startup incubator? A couple of slides onto that, and then product development and innovation setup. I hope I am quite visible and my screen is completely visible.
Yes, sir.
You are.
Okay, great. So let us start with the first slide, incubator and accelerator. So we need to understand what is an incubator. So incubator helps entrepreneurs flesh out business idea. So the focus for incubator is on business planning, prototyping, customer discovery, product development, etc. And there is no set specific timeline for an incubator. It ends when a business has an idea or a product to pitch to the investor. Vis-a-vis, the accelerator has the mandate of expedites the growth of existing businesses. Accelerator basically focus on business traction, investment, and related aspects. There's a timeline is set for a fixed period, and it ranges from few weeks and months, during which entrepreneurs get needed assistance. And accelerators are basically cohort-based programs, jabki incubator are not cohort-based programs. Let us elaborate what we have discussed. So incubator is a structured collaborative program, and it is designed to help startups succeed. Accelerator is a short-term program, usually for startups that already have a minimum viable product. So the primary identifiers for an incubator are, number one, guidance to form a product or service, seed funding, and angel investors. The third primary identifier is venture capital and venture capitalist. You require presentation skills and business etiquette. It focuses on training programs and networking opportunities. On the other side, accelerator has primary identifiers like focus on rapid growth. There is a set time frame from weeks to months, and generally 2 to 3 months. Mentorship and guidance, business profitability, and industry connections are the primary identifiers for an accelerator. So let us try to elaborate the basic terminology of incubator. So incubators are typically funded by the public sector, and they are charged with using this money to create jobs, serve diverse populations, and encourage economic growth in their communities. Most of the incubators offer their services to businesses for varying amount of time, depending on a company's need, and do not invest financially in the enterprises they support. If we take accelerator, most of the accelerators lead groups of prospective entrepreneurs through a curriculum. There's a very defined curricula, or there's a very defined set timeline for a set of period typically 2 to 3 months. This experience culminates in participants presenting a public business pitch to their mentors, which often leads to the organization making a seed investment in the company. The majority of the accelerators are for-profit operations, some of which function much like early-stage venture capital firms. That means incubators and accelerators hasten the process of developing and launching a successful startup company. And for that, both provides entrepreneurs with networking opportunities, mentoring support, mentoring education, access to capital, and free or subsidized office space. But there are some fundamental differences between them. So let us just try to take one point at a time and just try to understand the fundamental differences. If you look at the point of purpose, incubators build the foundation for new startups, and they offer resources like office space, leaders or counseling, and sometimes, very rarely, seed money. Accelerators, on the other hand, advance the growth of existing companies, connect startups with mentors, guidance, resources, and funding. If you take duration into consideration, incubators have a very relatively open-ended timeline, and the focus is on the long-term success of the startup, not on the pace of its growth. On the other hand, accelerators operate on a set time frame, usually 3 to 4 months, and they allow startups to pitch their idea to investors at the end of the program. If you take application into considerations, accelerators require participants to apply for the program. They expect startups to be scalable, investable, and fast-growing. And to the comparison, incubators, they help startups even if they are slow-growing or less scalable. Incubators are often tasked with creating jobs or licensing intellectual property. If we consider investment as a parameter, incubators don't usually provide capital or take equity. They often receive funding from universities or university departments, government, NGOs, or economically development organizations. Accelerators, on the other hand, invest capital in exchange for equity. So they take equity and bear a greater responsibility in the startup's success. However, this is clear. What are the similarities between incubator and accelerators? So the similarity is both aim to help launch and grow early stage startups in various industries. Training, mentoring, office space, management, and administration services are provided commonly. Then what are the differences? So incubator is focused on build foundation. Accelerator focuses on acceleration of growth. So incubator has idea development and discovery stage. It is at discovery stage. Accelerator, it is at mentorship focus, and it is at the execution stage. So far as time and timeline is concerned, incubator has indefinite amount of time and it focuses on meeting the benchmarks and goals. Accelerator, there's a definite amount of time, as I said, 2 to 3 months or usually 3 to 4 months. Application is exclusivity with incubator. Accelerator is open recruitment. Anyone can apply except few, and it is competitive in nature. Incubator is open to specific audiences and it accepts many applications. Incubators are not class or cohort based and there is no set graduation date. Accelerator is a cohort based program and there is a set demo day or graduation or the success timeline. So now if we sum up the comparison, incubator is leading from idea to business model. Accelerator leverage existing business models. Incubators is for young startups. Accelerator is startups with a maybe MVP. Incubator selection is based on the business plan. In accelerator, selection is based on scalability potential. On one side, where incubator is long-term, 6 to 12 months, or sometimes no deadline, Accelerator is short term. Incubation is open-ended or focus on a vertical. Accelerator focus is on specific vertical or technology. No investment or equity claim is there in incubation. In accelerator, yes, there is seed investment and there is exchange for equity. So further, if we sum up this, incubator is idea until seed stage. Accelerator is early stage. Innovation versus accelerate existing company. Incubate disruptive idea to scaling business. Open-ended time frame for incubation and short time frame like in months or weeks for accelerator. There is no grant share. There is equity share and investment in accelerator. But there are certain overlapping features also between incubation and incubators and accelerators, like training, mentoring, business support, selectivity, and seed funding. And there is a commonality of physical space also. So there are two types of incubator, internal incubator and external incubator. For an existing company, or which we call main company, if there are ambitions or if there is a need for transformation, there is a project setup and it is called arm's length, very nearby setup, there is an internal incubator. And it is basically based on some projects. And there is an internal breakthrough incubator, we call it. And this internal breakthrough incubator basically drives the business case and growth strategy for some agile ideation, concept, and product development. And it transforms the integration and growth. If I talk about external incubator, there is a very small internal team for a day-to-day monitoring and guidance. And there is a company, and then the company actually goes to partners for some project, and then it is called external breakthrough incubator. And there is a transition planning from external incubator to transitioning integration and growth. Now, the comparison in terms of stage, cohort, and duration. As we all know, cohort in incubator, no cohort, accelerator, yes, cohort is there. Duration is 3 months to 2 years maximum. In incubator, duration is until you die, grow, or annoy. That means full-fledged, full timeline support in incubator. Now, why startups need incubators and accelerators? Number one, networking opportunities. Number two,
Excuse me,
access to
sir.
resources. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I would like to remind the audience once that if the meeting ends abruptly, you are all requested to join in again.
I have to do the same process?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
And in approx 1 minute, meeting is gonna end. Remaining time.
Yes. 1 minute, 15 seconds. Yes. Okay. So let us use this 1 minute. Access to resources is the second need for incubators and accelerators. Why startups need incubators and accelerators? Third, exposure to industry experts and mentors. Mentorship is one very big opportunity. Access to funding, accelerate the growth, provides ecosystem to support. I will compare this slide with new meeting. Yes, I will share the next part of the slide as we rejoin the meeting.
Recording in progress.
You have to enable the host rights to me.
Sir, अभी कर रही हूँ. 1 minute, please.
Okay, take your time.
Recording stopped.
Sir, please check. Now you can share your screen.
Yes. I've been given the rights and I'm sharing my screen. So now we got another 40 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So let us restart. So incubators and accelerator, we are still discussing them. Incubators is for startups looking for guidance and support regarding developing their business needs or foundation level elements of running the company. Accelerator is for mature startups, and the average program length is 2 to 6 months. And there are two common types, but there are certain pros and cons of startup incubators. Pros are for incubators, free or low cost workspace. Business growth benefits are there. Development programs are executed and it helps in funding. Cons, the disadvantage, the gray sides, meticulous application process. It needs long-term engagement and very strict professional environment. Now, if we understand the incubators and accelerators very well, what governments can help to startups? Because ultimately what we are looking is a very encouraging environment for startups. And for that, incubators and accelerators are launch vehicles. But what governments can offer to these startups? So there are dozens of different kind of business loans which government can offer. The second is there are local tax breaks, credits and refunds. Like government can provide that for any startup, initial 3 years or initial 5 years, when they are in that crucial growth stage, no tax. So tax benefits or nil tax kind of advantages. Governments can also subsidize or covers the hiring of students, recent college graduates and apprentices. So this is also, so it supports both ways. It is helping the industry also to grow, and it is also making the job placement for college graduates or apprentices. Government can provide special grants. And there is a special startup visa provision. There are many countries which provide startup visa. So every government, when they want to help startups, they should provide startup visa. So there are various avenues in which government can help startups. If we continue our discussion, government can provide ample amount of economic freedom so that we can create a wealth of startup business tools. You can have an increasingly large array of startup incubators and accelerators and venture capital firms. So when government provides all this support, you can create a wealth, and this wealth can, in a long run, can provide a very substantial share in the GDP of any nation, whether it is India, Australia, United Kingdom, United States of America, Germany, or France. It is from experience we have observed that initially if we give these benefits to startups, ultimately they not only create thousands and lakhs of jobs, but they also substantially contribute to the GDP and the growth of a nation. So increasingly large area of startups, incubators and accelerators and venture capital firms comes into existence, and they create vibrant cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Noida. In India, these are the startup cities. Likewise, Israel also has 2-3 startup cities. Same is there with Germany or France or cities of America. So how you can create this? In these cities and in this area, you can provide tax cuts for small businesses. A huge pool of university educated talent can be hired and they can be promoted, they can be employed, they can be encouraged to create their own firms and startups. Generous government financing, grants, and loans can be provided, and this can kickstart the complete startup ecosystem in a state or in a country. Now we enter the second layer of the presentation, in which I'll talk about incubation. So there are 4 major pillars on which the incubation can be visualized. One is concept-based, support for startup growth story. And how do you achieve it? Through partnerships and connections. And there is a business strategy. The second pillar is cultural connect. And it can create the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And it is based on many events, awards, and academic involvement. And how does it help? It creates infrastructure and co-working. Third one is capacity building, scalable and sustainable business plans through training. Fourth is capital, seed funding, connections to angel investors and all this. And what does it help? It basically helps mentoring. So if we sum up this slide, incubation has 6 major points: partnerships and connections, business strategy, infrastructure and co-working, mentoring, prototype facilities, and training. Am I visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good. So when we discuss incubation, let us discuss the incubation stage. So for startup selection or startup creation, there is a selection and admission process, access to finance, legal and administrative support, physical facilities like co-working space or office space, intellectual property rights and legal support, education and access knowledge. Now for early stage, in a startup, when startup gets created, in the early stage, what we are looking for is fundraising, mentoring and coaching, advisory board. A complete advisory board can help various startups who are working in various domains and clusters. Networking facility, technology transfer, which is a very big challenge in today's era. Assistance with business basics and marketing and HR training. And once the early stage is over, the third stage is expansion. Definition of the exit strategy, how the expansion actually goes. So this is we call it systematic incubation. It's a robust entrepreneurial approach to systematic transformation. Now, there is an existing systems of actors, beneficiaries, and supporters. And there is an adjacent system. And these adjacent systems have players like allies and outsiders. And they all give authority to participatory council. But there is a set of actions also. And these actions are driven by intervention fund, discovery. And this participatory council, discovery and intervention fund can create the incubation. And this incubation gets gradually support, and it goes towards demo day or graduation day, in which there's a future state. And this future state requires some basic routines and resources and authority flows. So there are certain key features of systematic incubation, like articulates systematic purpose and characteristics. It uncovers leverage points and interventions, cross-boundary engagement. It requisite capacity, adaptability, and resiliency it provides. So this is all about systematic incubation. Now, if we take them stepwise. So step number 1 is sharpen your objectives. Step number 2, develop an incubation vehicle to deliver at scale. Step number 3, use multiple partner engagement tools. Step number 4, incubate beyond proof of concept. Because we always believe that POC or prototype development is, that means we have arrived at a successful startup. No, actually the story begins at the development of the prototype. Because after developing the prototype, team building, scalability, venture capitalist, access to funds, legal support, and then market survey, launching your products to the market, and then growing at a substantial stage rate is required. So incubate beyond proof of concept. And then step 5 is focus heavily on mainstreaming your products and adapting your products to the market need. So if there are incubation, there is pre-incubation also. So there is only one slide for pre-incubation. Understanding the startup ecosystem, that is phase number 1. 2, undergo the process of idea generation, followed by application of design thinking principles. Then development of POC, proof of concept, followed by develop business plan, marketing strategy, and go-to-market strategy. And then form the company formation. Now, once you understand the incubators, accelerators, and the basic incubation, we enter, because there is a title called early stage entrepreneurs. So for that, we have to understand entrepreneur and entrepreneurship. So this is the third leg of my presentation. So what is an entrepreneurship? So entrepreneurs, either they design a business, or they launch a company, or they run a new organization, or they do combinations of these activities. So it starts from idea to seed, from seed to early startup, then to revenue, then to growth, to expansion, then maturity of the business model, and then maybe an exit strategy or maybe a growth strategy. So there are 4 stages of the entrepreneurial life cycle. Number 1, inspire future founders, show them the path, reassure that they can take it, prepare them for the journey. So if you are an entrepreneur, you create this, inspire these future founders through your success story, through your support, through your own business case or business case study. Incubate. The second stage is incubate new ventures. Help cut through red tapeism, cut through it. Provide necessary infrastructure. Expose business opportunities to them. Facilitate growth. Now this is third stage. That is entrepreneurial life cycle. Third stage is facilitate growth. 7 activity, change outdated laws, improve the infrastructure, keep them in the ecosystem. And then the last stage is capture know-how. There are ways to leverage learnings, ways to recover from mistakes and opportunities to give it back to the society or the business community. Now, once we understand this, let us try to expand what we have discussed so far. Phase number 1, entrepreneurial mindset. So it is driven by orientation and goal setting. Then comes problem definition and market research. Then comes market analysis and know your industry and business players. Then comes customer analysis, know your customer. Now we enter the phase 2, that is customer discovery. So you can design a questionnaire, you can design an empathy map, and after that, 50 plus potential customer interviews are being taken. You have to identify the customer needs and their pressing points or pains and gains mapping. You focus on hypothesis validation. Now, after hypothesis validation, you enter the third phase, business model development. And for that, the pre-stage is value proposition design, then business model design, then financials and legalities. And then you can, as an entrepreneur, you can pitch your business idea. You are ready or you are open to pitch your business idea. So, whom to support? So, seed entrepreneurs. So, there are various categories of entrepreneurs. Number 1 is seed entrepreneurs. Applicants still at the seed stage of the business life cycle, when their business is just an idea or a thought. Then early stage entrepreneurs. Now, after seed entrepreneurs, you enter the second stage. We call them early stage entrepreneurs. Here, applicants who have registered their business as a legal entity have just started the production and have serviced their first customers. After that comes the third stage. Now, in this third stage, the entrepreneurs are called growth stage entrepreneurs. These set of entrepreneurs have already cleared the first stage of seed entrepreneurs and the second stage of early stage entrepreneurs. Then you will come across such entrepreneurs whom we call growth stage entrepreneurs. They are applicants who have been in business for some time and have a product that has been tested in the market. Now they are looking for scaling operations, scalability, growth stage, and now planning to access larger markets and compete with existing or new players in the market. Then you may come across federations. These are expected to group individual enterprises run by some cluster promoted in the state. Now, they may or may not be registered as legal entities, but they may be running small businesses. So this is also one. You can create federations of small business entities or organizations whom you can put together. They may not have acquired the legal status, but they are very much part of this cohort group. Another is aggregators or platforms from within or outside the state. Now, these are entrepreneurs who may offer opportunities to the rural entrepreneurs by aggregating or by offering them platforms like digital platform or brick and mortar kind of this to expand their businesses. Now, these are various entrepreneurs. These are stages of various entrepreneurs. So these are basically clusters in which various entrepreneurs are in various stages. And you have to take them one by one. There are certain entrepreneurs who are in the early stage, like seed entrepreneurs. There are certain entrepreneurs who are in the growth stage. So when we say early stage entrepreneurs, there are, as I discussed, there are various phases and there are various types of entrepreneurs. Now, if we want to create a framework of reference for entrepreneurship competencies, so there are various competencies. So these are entrepreneurial challenges. Number one is developing ideas. Number two is implementing ideas. And number three is thinking sustainability. Now, if we just expand our circle, identifying opportunities, attitude, working together, that is working in a team, organizing capability, financial literacy, and acting as a visionary, these are various levels. That means if you're a young early entrepreneur and you are dreaming for a program, you will focus on three kinds of verticals: extensive services, innovation clusters, and generous funding. In generous funding, as an entrepreneur, you look for generous startup capital. If you are aiming for innovation clusters, you will create entrepreneurial clusters. And in the extensive services, you will go for startup services nationwide. Now, there are certain harsh, because everything is not easy ride for entrepreneurs, as we all know. So there are certain harsh realities of being an early stage entrepreneur. So what are these harsh realities? You have to work all the time. You have to learn everything about business, because sometimes if you are in pharma, if you are in agriculture, if you are in technology, if you are in services, if you are in consumer market, you are very good with your own domain. But with that domain, there's a lot of business acumen associated, business aspects associated. You have to learn everything about the business if you want to sustain in the market. It's a lonely game. You have to fight your own battle. You require mental strength. Your mental strength will be tested. The fifth number harsh reality is initial ideas may be wrong. And when you enter, you may find that you are in a wrong business at a wrong time with a wrong product. You take time to make money. Money doesn't come very easily. Sometimes even break even takes months or a couple of years to arrive at. Delays will frustrate you. And there are many elements which are out of your control, and you have to deal with them day in and day out. So these are certain harsh realities for early stage entrepreneurs. Now let us try to understand what they are supposed to do. So ideation, turning a dream into a business solution. As an entrepreneur, it is not enough to just have an innovative idea. The idea must fulfill a purpose of relieve a pain point for others. You have to understand why your product will benefit the user is the first step in turning dreams into reality. Second point is competition. How is your business unique? What is the uniqueness of your business? Competition is a healthy part of the entrepreneurial process. There are multiple businesses in all industries that offer same product in a slightly different fashion. One vital question customer will ask is, why should we do business with you over them? Then you have to pitch, you have to fund your business. Funding will be required to kickstart the business successfully. Pitching the idea to investors may not only secure funding for further development, but may also serve to validate the initial viability of your idea. And then organization. You have to prepare the foundation. So there are regulatory filings and paperwork are necessary avails of all companies. By covering all bases and submitting the appropriate documents, the risk is reduced for legal issues and lawsuits as the business grows. And that's why you have to prepare the foundation by documentation. Now, once we are very fine with the early stage entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship aspects, now if everything is done, well said and done, how to start a startup? And this is from Anna Vital. The credit of this slide goes to Anna Vital. So let us take this journey. You have to live in the future ahead of your time. Then you have to find out what is missing in the world. Then you have to write it down and bounce ideas around. Then you create a prototype, a working model of a product or a service. Show that prototype to 100 people. And then iterate on the prototype until it makes sense. Then, once your iteration is done, you find a co-founder, somebody who is like-minded. You register your corporation and you split your equity with your co-founders and investors or angel investors. You look for funding and build version 1 at the same time. And then you have to launch. You are in the launch stage. Let everyone know you have made something. That's a launch stage. Now follow up with users. Are they coming back? So you have to take follow-up of the users. The person, the initial 100 people or initial 1,000 people who have started using your service or product or a prototype. Are they coming back? If they are not coming back, you have to launch again after the iteration. Launch until users stay. Like Airbnb launched 3 times. There's an example. If your customers are coming back, then the case is get to 1,000 users. Now, getting the first 1,000 users of your product or service is a very big challenge. After that, grow 5% a week. It is very hard, but it is proven possible that your growth should be at least 5% a week. And then keep growing for another 4 years. And all at that rate, you will reach 25 million users. Then you get a success. So that's how. So there are many people who says that only 3% or only 2% startups succeed. But there are very fundamentals to starting your startup and sustaining your startups. Yet you have to religiously adapt or address these fundamentals, these basic needs of startups. And there are good chances that you can succeed. Now, there are 5 stages of a startup. We already discussed how you can grow, but let us take them one by one. Stage number 1 is seed. The seed phase, first stage, the goal is to develop the idea. The second startup phase is called early startup or early stage. The early stage involves having a product on the market and the first metrics. Then comes the growth stage. It must focus on achieving sustainable scaling. Expansion stage, where expansion to new markets should be considered. And the sell stage can be acquisition, by another company or by IPO, or you can, if you are very firm in your concept or your startup, you can be the next $1 billion startup. Just give me 1 minute. So these are main stages of startup development: idea stage, friends and family and angel stage, pre-seed startup stage, seed startup stage, early stage startup, Series A, Series B, Series C, then growth stage, and then maybe exit stage by introducing IPO and retaining your own equity. So preparation, incubation, inspiration, verification, and execution. So to define your ideal day, you have to assess and align, you have to streamline the document and implement. Address this single largest source of new entrepreneurs in the world. Now for that, the stage number 0 is inspire and celebrate. You've got some passion and ideas. Then discovery, you want to be an entrepreneur. Action, you are an entrepreneur. Startup, you have a solid team with some good ideas. Scale, you have stable business model. And FT 500, you are taking over the world. Now, if we expand this, how you participate in a startup demo events or some kind of events which people invite your applications on this. So you online form submission, then preliminary skilling. So this is all stage number 1. Online submission and preliminary skilling, evaluation of your business model. Then you enter the stage number 2, which is called final pitching, selection and induction. So invitation for final pitch presentation, then recommending startups for the incubation program, invitation to discuss the requirements and incubation agreement, and the introduction or induction into the incubation program. So that is how you can enter the induction incubation program. And after you get selected, this is how the stage-wise journey, like complete the training period and enter the jury and all this is followed. Now we don't have much time left, so let me quickly go to startup incubator. So startup incubators have, we already discussed this slide. I've kept it intentionally here where there are pros and cons, and there is meticulous application process on the day side, and there is development program on the. So these are steps to startup launch. You can talk to IPO, then you can protect intellectual property, you can seek input and network, then you can plan the business, and you can negotiate the license or option agreement. And after that, you can pursue funding. So how the creative process for this incubator startup works? So preparation, incubation, illumination, and verification. And verification has 2 stages, evaluation and elaboration. Now we come to product, because prototype and growth stage and products. So there are types of new product development. Sustaining, a significant improvement
you.